There's enough juice to get a few rounds in. I'm really not that hungry. I'm kind of in the mood for Chinese, but I don't feel like ordering it and going to get it. We have chicken pot pies in the freezer. I'll have one of those then. I told her, I think she's eating, but I'm like, you should put on your shoes and at least do one lap around the block with me. It's not going to kill you. No. And I just sit and think to myself, what in the fuck? What in the actual fuck? You know, walking is a healthy exercise. Buying all that stupid shit on QVC leads to more death. Whatever. I try to speak to people. I'm from Kentucky. I speak to everyone. Speaking, nodding, heads up, heads down, waving, speaking to people. And I apologize to the neighbors if I've bothered them with my Tourette's syndrome. That's just the type of person I am. But it's not the typical apology. Because I don't need to do it to help myself. I just don't want them to feel threatened. And if they do, oh well. I've had to put up with people misunderstanding reality my entire life. It's nothing new. So, you know how I said I thought it was weird that, when they were redoing that house, I'm like, man, I bet they're doing surveillance or something. Well, there's someone staying there. I didn't see any furniture or appliances or bags or anything. Just an electric vehicle with, a few store bags. And I thought, there's no way in hell. But whatever, I don't have people over. I think I've had one guy here since I've lived here. And he was a neighborhood guy. Nice enough. It's not like we really did anything. Another hetero. Sex is a healthy part of human psychology. Stigmatizing it and making it taboo is why so many underage women get pregnant. And not necessarily on their part so much as the boys. Man, sex. They say not to do it. That's why men's insurance is so much more expensive when they're younger. I guess thankfully my testosterone level was low enough that I didn't really lose my virginity until I was 17. So, I was chit-chatting with all the other girls about them, having their cherries popped. I was, I think, a senior in high school. And that was with my London ex-husband. London, Kentucky ex-husband. My religious roots run very deep. That's where Mr. Wallingford and I got along. Every other area, While I'm not, all for men running the streets in thongs and angel wings on Pride, I don't see anything wrong with two men having sex, as long as they love each other, even if it's just for that moment. There has to be some level of true affection involved in it. Otherwise, it's just, I don't know. Otherwise, it's just sex. And hell, God gave us two hands, pick one. Just like with K-Pump. Driving him home that night. Then me asking him to go to dinner and him telling me no. Well, at least I know the meaning of no. He must have still been mad at me for... He must have still been pouting about me, and I'm not staying neither. That night he asked me to drive him home. We would have both woken up the next morning thinking, what in the fuck? Both of us. As I said, I'm quite a gentleman. I try to be. Aflac one night, I think it was after Dad had died, and I was a drunken mess after the bars in Cedarwood, and I fell in the kitchen. He was like, I'm not going down there to check on him. I'm in my underwear. And then that Halloween, or the next Halloween, he dressed up as Beetlejuice, and he was staying at the Rideouts, and he was changing, and I turned around. He'd made it clear he would be embarrassed by me seeing him in his underwear. So, it would have been nice if they had at least offered to come around after Dad died to spend some time. It was highly unlike me to ask to go hang out with him before me and Chelsea went to Florida that last time. But I did because, my dad was dead. Justin had smashed my heart into a million pieces. And I needed some man time, and it's not like I could call Brad Klein or Pritchard or B. White or J. Flack or Cessna or Perkins or any of the other ones. Like I said, back when we all vacationed in Sevier County and you-know-who went ape shit to the point people were fucking afraid to stay in the cabins, he would have killed me back then. He would have killed me way back then. But probably not today. And I'll leave it at that. Not to call anybody out or anything. I'm just saying, that's how we change. We age, we evolve, we mature. People think that I have regressed into a childlike state, which in all reality, with executive functioning, I hate to admit it because it looks horrible on paper and in court, but the executive functioning, due to their psychotropic poisoning to help cover human trafficking, really did a fucking number on me. Not to mention the neuropsychiatric injuries. But I had to be the adult one, the maturest one, for ages. Yeah, sometimes I drank too much. I needed a break from reality during those moments. Especially out with my straight friends. Am I accidentally going to say the wrong thing and they get offended by it and think I'm trying to flirt with them and then get into an altercation with me? So friends, I hate to say it because, I did love them, but more like just acquaintances. His hair's cool. And I'm sure he heard me. Like I said, almost all of it's completely involuntary. It's not like I was talking to an imaginary playmate saying, hey, that guy's hair's cool. No, that was just my internal dialogue coming out. It is extra interesting when people overhear me. Because normally it's like, if it's something they deem as offensive, I'm like, holy shit, my apologies. So as I stated, hitting the reset button yet again with that goddamn psychotropic pharmaceutical poison was not the smartest move to make. But it happened, and it's reality. Nothing but yet another headache to deal with. That's the kind of man. He put the mail in the mailbox and let the lid slam. He means business. And most of the time, like if I let the lid down on the mailbox too soon, or I noticed it once at Eastern State, I was coming out of the bathroom, and I turned to shut the door, and the handle slipped out of my hand, and it slammed, and I was like, God damn it. But we can help you. Yeah, Zyprexa off-label. Acute mania and or schizophrenia, neither of which were listed in the diagnoses of my discharge paperwork that I kept copies of. So off-label? Yes. Oh. I wish I could let Max out off of his stuff. I at least smile at people. I don't know what I'll eat tonight. Like I said, Chinese sounds good, but I don't feel like ordering it and going to get it. That's not a lazy factor. I just don't feel like driving. I hate driving. I really do. Always hated driving. Then again, when you're forced to learn to drive a stick shift V8 by the time you're 10, and you can drive, that anxiety stays with us forever. I can't remember what medical journal I was reading out of, but it had something along those lines of adults forcing children into things like that with heavy equipment and more adult daily activities. Forcing them into that when they're younger creates an anxiety disorder that they're just now documenting. And I'm like, well, I was right, wasn't I? That's what I believe anyway. Them making me learn to use that equipment and stuff when I was so young, especially on Springdale Road with all that heavy truck traffic. It'd been different if we lived on, say, I don't know, Key Pike or whatever that road is Bud and Judy live on. They might be narrow roads, but there's hardly any traffic. Cry baby. And that's why they would take those photos. I have it on my computer somewhere. They'd take those photos after they'd torture me half to fucking death of me on the floor squalling, but smile for the camera. Then they'd print them out and show me what a crybaby I was. That's sickening. And it's not like it was just my immediate family. It was the school district. It was church family. It was extended family. And I didn't feel persecuted by it because I had no clue what they were truly doing. Now that I look back on it, my head spins just like that poor girl on The Exorcist. Not really. Wouldn't that be interesting, though, if we could turn our heads all the way around like owls can? Man. And then I think, how in the hell am I still alive? I'm walking along a public roadway on a dead-end street. Anybody could swing by and pop a cap in me, and I'm still here. I have no clue. Oh well, you know. I hate to say it this way, but the United States points at, let's say, Mexico for their criminal drug activity. Because they'd rather take the focus off of the drug activity and the gangs in the United States. In my opinion, all the countries need to come together, sit back and say whatever fucking thing they signed in 1961 is a load of shit. We need to decriminalize at least small amounts of all drugs to help dissolve the truly organized part of the criminal activity. Because once you quit persecuting, literally, prosecuting, just, small fish, just like with sex work, if they felt safer, a lot of this sick shit would end. There are plenty of ways to generate clean revenue. Plenty. Other than locking people up just to correct them. You cannot correct homosexuality. You can choose to live a lie. And that's just my opinion. Decriminalize small fucking amounts of all drugs. For the really poor people, allow them to grow a plant or two at home. I think we have lost enough lives and wasted enough resources on the war the society war, which includes the opioid epidemic and other agendas. Not saying cannabis is 100% safe or 100% effective, but it should be an alternative treatment. I mean, my God, I'm not highly super intoxicated medicated. I'm not intoxicated medicated. And I have Valium in my system. I'm still functioning fairly normally. That second Valium must have kicked in. If you see me touching my ass, any of the neighbors, sorry. There is something like an abscess right over my right hip. I thought it would be gone by November 1st when I see my primary care, but apparently it's going to need to be drained. God only knows what the fuck it is. It feels like the ball joint of a hip, but just under my skin. It's like a bubble, like a golf ball or something. I have no clue. Like I said, most of the time I wake up and I'm like, where in the fuck are Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling? This is this and that is that. You know what? Most of the time you would be accurate. I'm not trying to argue with you, because most arguments from me cannot be won, because I am a nobody, as I said. At the same time, opening the taxpayers to a huge liability, huge, by violating the ADA in public, you just don't do that. Then they claim I just don't take my medications accurately and adequately. Well, everything I'm on now, other than your all's forced treatment from here, but as I said, I'll be more than fucking happy to go into Hamilton County Sheriff's fucking department, hazing frat boys with drugs and illegal alcohol from my memory in 2004. That's not some goddamn idle made-up threat. I did live here in 2004. You might not find much of a paper trail on it, but I did. I am not trying to call anybody out or get them fired or arrested for misconduct. I am simply pointing out what I saw, what I lived through, and all the shit they put me through in my childhood that I had managed to overcome, living life the best I could with the current situation, only for somebody who didn't have a fucking clue, two of them, Kim Razor and Charles Shelton, to hit reset. You know, Kim Razor, they're judges. Are they even human? To Charles Shelton, yanking Cymbalta immediately instead of a taper, which you don't do. I even know that goddamn much. To Zyprexa Depakote and it's only heartburn. Yeah, right. As I said, Zyprexa, schizophrenia, and acute severe mania, neither of which are listed as diagnoses in my paperwork from them. I didn't request mercies. Yet, anyway. It would be nice if physicians would sit and read the whole goddamn medical file to see the fraud and malpractice in it while listening to the actual story of what happened before making clinical judgments and putting people on medication that may or may not cause them to kill themselves. All the while running in with yet another dumbass piece of paper saying, "Forgive us, we can help you. It'll only cost another 10 grand. No, thank you. I cannot condone physicians who believe in death with dignity in such a cruel, inhumane fashion. And let's face it, for some psych patients, that's exactly what antipsychotics are. They can cause sudden cardiac death, for fuck's sake. That's why I stated a 24-hour heart monitor would be more appropriate than the treadmill stress test, but what the fuck do I know? Oh well, right? I'm just the fucking idiot that was raped and brutally assaulted repeatedly. All the while the fucking cunt judges sitting there banging their gavels with judges ejaculating on my childhood face, not doing a goddamn thing. So yes, most of the neighborhood knows about Mason County, as did Hamilton County at large. Oh well. So, you all have real fun with Discovery at the Mason County, Kentucky house. I'll be more than happy to sit down and iron out all those goddamn details as well, including the cosplay Asian childhood boudoir wear they used to make me wear for their goddamn enjoyment. Shame, shame, shame. I know your disgusting Catholic names. I might have known it would be red. Sorry. And this is exactly why I prefer solitude as well. Because when it comes out involuntarily, especially around children, I am so sorry if your kids just heard me. I have Tourette's syndrome.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're good.
I had an episode at the end of the street. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
I try to apologize to them. I didn't see their kids with them. So as I stated, Tourette's syndrome might not be listed in the current medical file, but I really doubt those doctors recorded the shits of the mouth. Don't you? God, I don't know what I want to do for dinner. Third time I've mentioned Chinese, but I don't feel like ordering it. I don't feel like paying for it. I don't feel like going to get it. I'll get hungry eventually and eat something. Another sign of dementia. And don't remind me. Actually, I do realize that I haven't eaten today, but I didn't remember that I hadn't eaten until probably around 2:30 or 3. They'll chalk it up to alcoholism, when in reality I've had this form of severe dementia since I was probably, 7 or 8, after the bludgeoning and fevers and lack of medical attention and all that other stupid shit that they believed in. But I think I managed pretty goddamn well for myself. It is not my fault they left me unable to earn a living other than sex work, which is exactly what they wanted under the guise of the United States Department of Agriculture's farm kid laws. So isn't it just so fucking hilarious that the states are suing the USDA to try to overturn the newly extended Title IX protections? How fucking hilarious. Yes, kids funneled farm to farm via the United States Department of Agriculture's farm kid laws. But that only kicks in when a child reaches 14. Anything under 14 is definitely human trafficking. Sorry, but it is, unless the child goes on its own free will to work on a neighboring or whatever farm. Forcing a child under 14 to farm and or work on neighboring farms is human trafficking, something my parents did not understand and refused to. Well, that's a pretty dog too. Well, it's not intoxication. I can say that for a fact. The Valium might be kicking in a little bit hard, but I am quite fatigued. You know, the COVID people talk about the fatigue. Welcome to my world. You best learn to start telling yourself to get over it. I hate to be so cruel about it, but you need to start telling yourself to get over it, because that's one of the only ways you will. The fatigue. That doesn't work for trauma. Addressing the trauma instead of burying it with pharmaceuticals designed to help them and not you. We don't even know how these drugs work. We just know they save lives. Yeah, right. But you COVID people with the fatigue, you just pretty much have to tell yourself to get over it and learn to function at a reduced level. It sucks like no other. And that's where cognitive behavioral therapy came into play for me. You have to learn to listen to your body, and when you're in pain, you have to learn to, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's easy to do when you don't have some nut jobs at home threatening to murder you. And bitching about how much this goddamn shit costs. But as I said, every time I tried to bring this shit up, they'd either fall asleep or pretend to fall asleep or look at me like I was insane, because they'd see my Coach bag, my good shoes, my Louis Vuitton wallet, and just assume, well, what in the hell's he talking about? Oh, and God forbid they ever snub their nose up at that goddamn network of Anthem. Don't think there was a doctor that didn't accept it. Though they like to funnel people in some pretty strange ways, in my opinion. Why are you funneling me to these psych people? Interesting. Interesting. I don't know how many rheumatologists in Hamilton County I saw in 2004. Sri Conneru was one of them. They tried to reschedule me with her when I moved back up here, and I was like, hell fucking no. She looked at me like I was a fucking nutcase, with my hands swelling so much that I couldn't pull rings off. No, we don't believe there's any underlying autoimmune condition, blah, 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 blah. Sri Conneru, she's still with, it was Group Health back then, now it's Tri-Health. She was with them back then, around Paula LaFranconi recommended me. Dr. LaFranconi was one of the worst fucking physicians for primary care I've ever seen. She and Nancy Gutman could be soul twins. Nancy Gutman, who said she didn't care whether her prescription caused kidney failure. Well, Paula LaFranconi, her bedside manner, she may as well have been stiff. So thank God I quit seeing her and found a different physician. She recommended Sri Conneru, and that was just a waste of money. You're just a young, dumb kid and lazy. Yeah, so you all are part of the rape growing pains doctors, huh? Oh well. Maybe if you all would take the goddamn time to do some imaging and notate these fucking skull fractures and shit, you might have a fucking clue of what you speak. Trauma. Physical severe trauma, activating autoimmune illness. Oh my God, it's unheard of. It never happens. Yeah, it does. But see, that's why I label it medical fraud. Not medical malpractice, not medical negligence, medical fraud. Because I tried to detail being human trafficked, only for it to be bitch slapped back in my face as if I was a liar. Patrick and Christy Boggs ties to child porn. As Canadians were asking for live shows when Patrick and Christy were courting from afar on the interweb. Oh, but shh. Oh, I hate it when people park in the goddamn sidewalk. Unless you're a cop, but your goddamn car should be marked. Parking on the goddamn sidewalk. How the hell can anybody walk in a straight line with a car right in the way? What is that anyway? Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, California. Huh. So far today on the street, or so far this week, I've had visitors from Illinois, California, Georgia. No, Mr. Horde died a long time ago. The only thing left is this fucking hateful bitch right here. Sorry. Then again, I have been calling out several areas, haven't I? Oh my God! The Illinois people, they were interesting. Oh my God, can you believe Erica Jane's federal case in Chicago got dropped? Yep, sure can. Oh, if only we could all act as our own attorneys instead of having to rely on these circle-jerking fucking bastards. No offense. Most marijuana offenses, depending upon, factors, are federal cases because it's a federally illegal substance. Most patients in medical marijuana states can bypass the federal government due to the Farm Bill and the whatever Rohrabacher amendment that has to be reauthorized by Congress every year, protecting medical states. We shall not intervene in your decisions, as it should be. But, unfortunately, for whatever fucking reason, certain DEA agents are still invading even true medical patients. It's one thing to crack down on illegal grow operations under the guise of medical and recreational. But if there's a home grow and they're within the limit, who the fuck cares? Another unusual car. I'm quite sure the whole goddamn world knows where we live by now. Fear not, for I am the Lord. I'm not. I think when we succumb especially to the fear of the unknown, that's why all this goddamn shit is happening in society. Embrace the problems head on, using out-of-the-box thinking and not the same goddamn conscious stream of thought that created it, and maybe we can spearhead several problems. I find it absolutely sickening that the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. I still haven't read that Dobbs case or whatever it is in its entirety. But in my opinion, you know, we've lost a lot of people to the opioid epidemic, among other things. Them banning abortion, to me, is just their way of saying, you know what? We expect this trend in death toll to continue. We have to have more people to program. But I guess I'm kind of, you know, hopeful that there is reincarnation, if not heaven, because at least there will be several things that I held near and dear to my heart, and I saw it change for the better. Like, I would rather see my niece and nephew employed at a dispensary as a bud tender than a bar as a bartender. Just like